Unsung Murder Ballads discusses topics of a disturbing nature.
And we're not going to hold back on the graphic details and disturbing content.
So we do not recommend our podcast for children under the age of 13.
And while we respect the victims and their families involved in these tragic cases,
we're also going to be critical of mistakes that are made during the investigations.
And we're going to use dark humor to express ourselves now and then.
So with that said, this podcast may not be for everyone.
And that's okay. We're glad you're here checking us out.
And if you've made it this far, welcome to the Unsung Murder Ballads family. And follow us on Instagram at Unsung Murder Ballads if you want to talk to us.
Hey everybody, welcome back to Unsung Murder Ballads. This is episode 52. I am Janice Dead.
I'm Jameson Dead.
And I'm Joyous Dead.
And it's good to have you back after a short hiatus. Thank you.
Yes, good to be back. Sorry, my listener pals. I have been in the trenches in my life. But we are here. I have returned. We are okay.
And we've definitely missed you.
Welcome back.
Yes. All right. So tonight we are doing something very special. We are doing what we're going to be calling FJI, for Joyous's information. And
yes, as we know, I don't know much about true crime, and I'm always learning something on this show. So today we're going to be talking about cases that I really should know.
Yeah, definitely things she should know, and these are cases everyone knows. So tonight we're going to do Ted Bundy.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, this is going to be fun.
I had a conversation with someone not too long ago because I said Ted Bundy might be the most famous American serial killer. And they had a little bit of a debate with me because they thought maybe Jeffrey Dahmer outdid Bundy. But I don't know. I think it's a give or take. But either way, Bundy's in the top 3, if not the number 1, in my opinion.
Yeah, I would definitely say it's the one I've heard, like, most people reference. Like, if they're talking about a serial killer, they're like, oh, Ted Bundy. Like, that's kind of the classic one.
Yeah, he's the first. I mean, that's what I mean. He's the first one off everybody's lips. Bundy, Dahmer. You might get BTK or Gacy after that. So we're going to be doing these FJIs every so often for Joyous's information. And we'll do these famous ones, and we're going to mix it up a little bit. But we're going to, because she knows so little, we're going to do the real famous cases, which I was initially avoiding. But this is going to be fun.
Yeah, you have to give me some education. I do know very little. I think if I had to guess anything about Ted Bundy, I feel like, and these are my guesses, I feel like he was like in the 80s, and I feel like he killed, like, didn't he kill men, not just women? I'm not actually sure about that.
I absolutely love how little you know.
Well, let's dive into it.
Let's
I want to establish, like, this is what I think is going to happen, and I'm so excited to figure out what it actually is.
Yeah, I'm excited because your reaction, because, one of the things our listeners love is listening to your genuine reaction to things. But this is a case that everyone knows, so this is almost, for me in particular, this is like hearing it again for the first time, listening to your reaction. So I get to live vicariously through you.
Hell yeah, let's fucking go.
All right, let's do this. So Theodore Bundy was born in Burlington, Vermont in 1946 to his mother.
Oh, shit, I already fucked up the time period.
Yeah, just a little. To his mother, Eleanor Louise Cowell. The identity of his father remains a mystery, though. Now, on his birth certificate, it does list someone named Lloyd Marshall, although his mother would later tell people that she was seduced by a war veteran named Jack Worthington. But no one really believes that. Because it was the 40s, right after World War II, to avoid the social stigma, that came with an unmarried birth, Bundy's maternal grandparents, Samuel and Eleanor Cowell, claimed that he was their son. And he took on their last name, so he was initially Theodore Robert Cowell. And he grew up believing that his mother was his older sister.
Oh, wow. Oh, that's crazy.
So twisted.
Yeah, there's some trauma just deep baked into that one, right?
I mean, it's a guarantee.
Yeah. So for the first few years of his life, he lived with his mother, and they were living in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. But in 1950, he and his mother, whom he still believed was his sister, moved with some relatives to Tacoma, Washington. In 1951, 1 year after their move there, his mother met a man named Johnny Culpepper Bundy, at an adult singles night held at the Tacoma's First Methodist Church. In May of that year, they were married, and Johnny Bundy adopted Ted, legally changing his name to Bundy. Now, I gotta say, that guy must seriously hate, like his whole family must hate that.
Oh yeah, that sucks so much for that line. That's rough.
Yeah.
But also, what kind of name is Culpepper? No one's ever called that anymore.
No, it's definitely old school English because Culpepper was the name of one of King Henry VIII's wives, like one of the guys she cheated on him with. His name was Thomas Culpepper.
Oh, would you look at that?
Yeah, like little tie-in throwback to episode like 10.
There we go. There's Easter eggs.
Throwbacks within throwbacks. Yeah.
Right? This is weird. So Johnny and Louise Bundy had more children, whom the young Ted spent much of his time babysitting. Now, Johnny Bundy tried to include his stepson in camping trips and other father-son activities, but Bundy remained emotionally detached from his stepfather. Now, he was a good student at Woodrow Wilson High School in Tacoma, and he was active in the local Methodist church, serving as vice president of the Methodist Youth Fellowship. He was also involved in the Boy Scouts of America.
Wow.
Yeah, so he's normal-ish.
Yeah, it's like a lot of this is sounding like a pretty normal childhood.
Yeah, there's nothing really weird about it other than the fact that he thinks his mother is his sister.
Yeah, and that he still thinks that.
He has not learned the truth yet. No.
Oh my god. So like it's like his stepfather, but it's kind of like not.
It's not he probably doesn't think of him as a stepfather. He probably thinks his brother-in-law
It's like his
adopted
Yeah, it's his
him.
brother-in-law kind of. Yeah.
Now, I wonder how much the stepfather knew, because they don't go into any of that. So you got to wonder if the stepfather knew, because he adopted him. So I'm assuming his mother told him.
Right, but like they pretended that wasn't the case. That's like so odd.
Yeah, it's not, again, it's a recipe for, I mean, we know where it's going. It's a recipe for disaster.
Yeah.
But it's still just fucked up. And we don't know how much this really influenced who he became either.
Yeah, that's true.
So socially, Bundy remained shy and introverted throughout his high school and early college years. He would later say that he hit a wall in high school and that he was unable to understand social behavior, stunting his social development.
Yeah, that tracks.
Absolutely. And it's funny because I know a lot of people who I could say that about.
Yeah, I know a handful.
Right. One of my best friends is that way.
Yes, he is.
So he maintained this facade of social activity, but he had no natural sense of how to get along with other people. And he would say, quote, "I didn't know what made people want to be friends. I didn't know what made people attractive to one another," unquote.
That's very interesting.
Yeah, and it's a weird way to look at it, because
Yeah.
I think most of us we're naturally drawn to people. Like, we see someone who has a similar interest and there's no work to it. We just interact. And so it's interesting to hear that someone would actually have to think about and try to work at being friends with someone else.
Yeah.
So years later, Bundy would describe a part of himself that from a young age was fascinated with images of sex and violence. And he called that part of himself the entity. So
That's fucking weird.
yeah, I mean, and in some ways, it clearly whoever wrote Dexter, because they refer to it as his dark passenger on the show Dexter. So I think they must have taken that from Bundy's interviews where he called it the entity. But
Oh, very interesting.
yeah,
I didn't even pick up on that until you just said that, and it's a great freaking work there for the show.
yeah. I mean, they didn't go into it like in the books for Dexter. I don't know if you've ever read the books, but apparently it's legitimately a demon that possesses him. And I'm so glad the show didn't go down that path. But anyway, no, that's a whole other thing. So while still in his teens, Bundy would look through libraries for detective magazines and books on crime, focusing on sources that described sexual violence and featured pictures of dead bodies and violent sexuality.
Oh no.
Yeah, so this is where it's starting. So before,
And he's finding this in the library?
so you could find that stuff back then, yes. Believe it or not.
Wild.
Yeah, you could find old like encyclopedias that had like nudity of like, you know, tribes in other countries that were less civilized, and they would be like, because the women didn't have clothing or whatever. You could find that stuff because I remember being a young boy and we were looking for that stuff.
Oh, right. That's because you didn't have the internet. You had to look.
Yes, we had to dig for that stuff.
Sorry, that is so foreign to me. Wow. A
Yeah.
real Gen Z moment
That was
happening
really
today.
funny. That was really funny. So even before he was out of high school, Bundy was a compulsive thief and a shoplifter. He enjoyed skiing, so he stole skis and equipment and forged a ski lift ticket to be able to go and partake in skiing.
Oh, so he's a real pan criminal. He's really like, I like all of the crimes.
Yeah, he's doing whatever he wants to do. And
Next, you're going to tell me he dissects small animals that he finds in the woods.
No.
Okay.
That's
all right. I take it back.
That's Dahmer.
Listen, how would I know the difference? I feel like that's the thing.
I know. I like that you're guessing. So this is good. You'll eventually start to make sense as you hear what his MO becomes. So.
Oh yes, very interesting. Okay, well, obviously we're seeing violence, we're seeing sex, we're seeing
a penchant for violence and sex. He hasn't yet done any of these that we know of.
He's just interested.
So he was arrested twice as a juvenile, although these records were later expunged, which happens with juveniles. So in 1965, he graduated from high school, and he was awarded a scholarship by the University of the Puget Sound that fall, and he began taking courses in psychology and Oriental studies. After 2 semesters, he decided to transfer to Seattle's University of Washington, and while there, he worked at a Safeway store, which is like a convenience store, gas station kind of thing. As part of his courses in psychology, he would later work as a night shift volunteer at Seattle's suicide hotline.
Oh, whoa.
So imagine that.
That is so twisted that I completely forgot about that.
Yeah, here we are, a guy who will be a future serial killer, helping people. He's literally talking people off ledges, kind of thing. It's an
okay. Yeah, this is a twisted man.
Yeah, it's really interesting. Now, while he was there, he met and worked alongside former Seattle policewoman and future best-selling crime writer Anne Rule. And she would later go on to write a biography about Bundy and his crimes that she titled The Stranger Beside Me, which is crazy to think. What are the odds?
What an incredible way to have it been documented, too.
Yeah, just you were sitting next to him the whole time? Crazy.
Right, yeah, that makes sense. It's like, it was so well recorded, and that's probably one of the reasons why we remember it so much, is we know so much detail.
Yeah, exactly. Well, he also did us a lot of favors after his imprisonment and did a lot of interviews because he's a narcissist.
Yeah, he wants that fame.
Yeah, we'll get into that at the end.
Okay, tell me more.
Okay, so he began a relationship with a fellow university student whom he met while enrolled at the University of Washington in 1967. After she graduated, she returned to her family home in California and ended the relationship. Now, this is reported that she was fed up with what she described as Bundy's immaturity and lack of ambition. So Bundy, around this time, decided he was going to pay a visit to his birthplace in Burlington, Vermont. While he was there, for unknown reasons, he visited the records clerk and uncovered the truth about his parentage.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, so he's a college student now. And
it really sucks to find out like that. That really sucks of his parents to never tell him.
Right, and here's the thing, and some people say that this is what pushed him over the line to become a killer, but why? I'm sorry. I've been to a lot of places. I have never walked into the county clerk's office or the city clerk's office and asked to see any paperwork about myself. So he had to have had suspicions. To me, that's what makes sense. Like
of course.
Yeah, he went back and was like, let's look into this. Who is my father, kind of thing.
And, he's digging too deep.
Yeah, and he found out the truth. So after this discovery, Bundy became more focused and more of a dominant personality. So that's definitely a key moment in his transition, but I don't know if it's what pushed him over the line, like a lot of people speculate.
No, it's just what changed his characteristics and his personality. He was now going to be that alpha.
Just based on his personality, his alpha is a really sly alpha. But we'll get into that.
But I didn't say it was,
Yeah, he's not the aggressive
in your face
yes.
kind of alpha.
Yeah. So in 1968, he managed the Seattle office of Nelson Rockefeller's presidential campaign and attended the 1968 Republican convention in Miami as a Rockefeller supporter.
Whoa.
Yeah,
that's random.
It's really weird. This whole section about the politics with him is really bizarre. So he became an honor student and was well liked by his professors. And then we're going to get into the politics stuff in a bit. In 1969, he started dating a woman by the name of Elizabeth Cloffer. I think I'm pronouncing that correctly. If I'm not, I apologize. She was a divorce secretary with a daughter, and she fell deeply in love with Ted Bundy.
Oof, hate to see it.
That makes my spine.
Yeah.
Oh, God.
They would date for the next 6 years until his arrest. God. Okay.
Whoa.
So keep this in mind. He kept everything from her.
Wow.
So Bundy graduated in 1972 from the University of Washington with his degree in psychology. Soon after, he again went to work for the state Republican Party, which included a close friendship with the governor at the time, Daniel J. Evans. During the campaign, Bundy followed Evans's Democratic opponent around the state, tape recording his speeches and reporting back to Evans personally with the information.
See, sly.
Yeah, a minor scandal.
Your job.
A minor scandal did break out when the Democrats found out what he was doing and that he had been posing as a college student the whole time. So it didn't really end well for Evans in the long run, which is so funny. So
yeah.
In the fall of 1973, Bundy enrolled in the law school at the University of Utah, but he did poorly. He began skipping classes, finally dropping out in the spring of 74. While on a business trip to California in the summer of 1973, Bundy came back into contact with his ex-girlfriend with a new look and a new attitude, showing her how serious and dedicated a professional he was, who had been accepted into this law school. And
right. I mean, that's a pretty big deal. That's pretty far to be getting his education.
Right. And now her opinion of him being immature and with no ambition, that obviously changes.
Absolutely.
But Bundy would continue to date Elizabeth at this time, and neither women were aware the other existed at the time. So he would continue to date to kind of, court this first ex throughout the rest of the year, and she even accepted a marriage proposal from him.
Damn.
Yeah. However, 2 weeks after he proposed, shortly after New Year's in 1974, he just ghosted her. He dumped her and refused to return her calls. Ghosted her.
Oh my God.
Imagine how lucky you feel later to be ghosted by Ted Bundy.
Right. That's the definition of God has a plan for you,
right?
For real.
Just nope, we're removing you from the equation.
Mm-hmm.
So a few weeks after the breakup, Bundy began his murderous rampage in Washington state. No one knows exactly where and when Bundy began killing. Many experts, including writer Ann Rule and former King County Detective Robert Keppel, believed Bundy may have started killing as far back as his teens, but we have no evidence of that. This
is unclear.
Yeah, his first victim, we know his first known victim. And I'll be getting into that, but there are a couple random things. So now there was an 8-year-old girl named Anne Marie Burr from Tacoma who vanished from her home in 1961 when Bundy was 14, but Bundy always denied killing her when later asked. Now, and he was confessing to a lot, so it's unlikely he did it, but who knows?
Right.
Now, the day before his execution, obviously much later, Bundy told his lawyer that he made his first attempt to kidnap a woman in 1969, and he implied that he attempted his first actual murder in 1972. And at one point in his death row confession with his ex-girlfriend Elizabeth, Bundy said he committed his first murder in 1972. But we have no evidence of that. So in 1973, one of Bundy's Republican Party friends saw a pair of handcuffs in the back of Bundy's Volkswagen. And this Volkswagen is important because a lot of people were driving those VW Bugs, But it's one of those things that is like a synonymous with Bundy at this point because
Oh, interesting.
it's such a distinctive car.
Yeah, it's definitely not like a common car.
Well, I mean, it was a bit more common then, but yeah, it's still distinctive. Like, why would you do that? That's like
Right.
it's like trying to kidnap somebody in an ice cream truck. So he was, for many years, a suspect in the December 1973 murder of a woman named Kathy Devine in Washington State. But later, DNA analysis led to another man's arrest and conviction for her murder in 2002. So for a long time, they thought Bundy did it and was just not admitting to it. So Bundy's earliest known identified murders were committed in 1974 when he was 27. Shortly after midnight on January 4th, 1974, Bundy entered the basement bedroom of 18-year-old Karen Sparks. She was a dancer and a student at the University of Washington. Bundy bludgeoned her with a metal rod from her bed frame while she slept. And
God.
Oh my God.
And he sexually assaulted her with a speculum.
Oh, holy shit.
Yeah. So, for those who don't know, likely our male listeners, a speculum is a device a healthcare provider uses to examine hollow openings in your body, like your anus, a vagina, your ears, your nostrils, obviously of varying sizes. So Karen...
And they're horrible.
I wouldn't know.
They're horrible, and they are evil, and they are awful.
Yeah, so imagine having that completely against your will.
Fucked.
Yeah. So...
I don't even want to do it with my will.
Right? I'm sure you don't. So Karen was found the next morning by her roommates. She was in a coma and lying in a pool of her own blood.
Oh my God.
She spent 10 days in the coma and suffered permanent brain damage from the attack. She woke up with no memory from the brutal beating.
Oh my God.
Yeah. Bundy's next victim was Linda Ann Healy, another University of Washington student. Linda was popular at the university and gave weather reports and ski reports at a local radio station. In the early morning hours of February 1st, 1974, Bundy broke into her room, knocked her unconscious. He then dressed her in jeans and a shirt, wrapped her in her bedsheet, and carried her away.
What the fuck?
When she didn't report in for the radio segment, people became worried, and the police were contacted when she was not found at her apartment. Police found blood on Linda's bedsheets and pillow, but not enough to indicate that she had bled to death, and there was no indication as to where she could have gone.
Oh my God, this is nuts.
Yeah, this is one of the as we go, this is one of the reasons he is the most famous serial killer. Her nightgown was hung in her closet with the ring of dried blood around the neck where it had been around her body. And some of her clothes, her pillowcase, and her backpack were missing.
Oh.
Yep. It seemed to investigators that whoever had bludgeoned her had crept into her room, which was a basement apartment, had knocked her unconscious, removed her pajamas, dressed her in fresh clothes, so they're figuring it out. So 3 days after her abduction, a male voice called 911 and said, quote, "Listen, and listen carefully. The person who attacked that girl on the 8th of last month and the person who took Linda Healy away are one and the same. He was outside both houses. He was seen," unquote. But the police never got that caller's name.
Oh my God. So
That's
he's
so
like
cryptic.
taunting the police?
He's likely fucking with them, yes.
Oh my God. That is ballsy and crazy.
Yes, it is. There's no better word for it, yes.
Like, not even trying to fly under the radar. It's giving from Home Alone when they were like, it's the wet bandits. Like,
right?
like,
Yeah, he all but named himself, right?
Yeah, literally. What?
Which is funny that you say that because there's another famous case we will eventually cover where the guy did name himself and told the newspapers what to call him. But yeah.
Damn. That's a wild one.
Yeah. So it would be 14 months after her disappearance that her skull and jawbone would be found on Taylor Mountain about an hour's drive from her home.
Oh my God.
Yeah, over a year. So at this point, female college students began disappearing at a rate of roughly one a month.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Yeah. On March 12th, 1974, in Olympia, Bundy kidnapped and murdered Donna Gail Manson, a 19-year-old student at Evergreen State College. Her body was never found,
Oh my God.
but Bundy later claimed that he burned her skull in his girlfriend's fireplace.
Oh my God. What the fuck?
Bundy said, quote, "Of all the things I did to Liz, this is probably the one she is least likely to forgive me for. Poor Liz," unquote.
What the fuck?
Wow. That's a really jaded quote. Like what that he has no remorse. He has no any
Does he think she'd forgive him for anything else that he
right.
did? It's
What a
crazy.
deranged motherfucker.
Just wait.
Oh yeah,
It's going to get so much
Oh.
crazier.
Oh, guys. Oh, man.
So in April of 1974, 18-year-old Susan Rancourt disappeared from the campus of Central Washington State College in Ellensburg. Like many of his other victims, she was studious. She was a biology major with a 4.0 grade point average.
Ugh.
She was driven. She worked 2 full-time jobs one summer to pay for her tuition.
Wow.
However, unlike many of his other victims, she was blonde-haired and blue-eyed. Every other one they were brunettes, and they looked very, very similar.
Oh, that's really interesting.
And there's some speculation that they looked like that girl from California, the one that he proposed to and then ghosted.
Yep.
So initially, there's a lot of speculation that he was basically punishing her from by proxy, so to speak.
Interesting.
So at 8 p.m. on April 17th, Rancourt was putting in a load of laundry in the washing machine at the laundromat and headed to her regular dorm advisors meeting. She planned to see a German film with friends afterwards, but no one saw her after that meeting. Her clothes remained in the washing machine until another student got frustrated enough to take them out and just leave them on a heap on the table. So her disappearance prompted a massive search with 0 results.
Oh, that's awful.
Later, 2 different students from that school would recount meeting a man with an arm in a cast on that particular night and nights earlier, who asked them for help to carry a large load of books to his Volkswagen Beetle.
Huh.
So think about that. You have a handsome young guy with his arm in a cast trying to carry books to his car, and he asks you just to help him get them in his car.
Oh, and they're just being nice. They're just trying to help. Oh my God.
And he's a good-looking guy. That's
deranged.
yes. So it's not out of the realm of possibility to imagine that a young girl, a college-age girl, seeing kind of a cute guy in an arm in a cast, doesn't seem very threatening.
Yeah.
His MO is insane and obviously effective.
I was going to say it works really well because it's really easy to fall for.
And just the terror that this must be causing people. Like knowing that this is out there.
Right, exactly. But this is the first time they've heard about what he's actually doing. You know, other than this, it was just disappearances. His next victim was Roberta Kathleen Parks. She was last seen on the campus of Oregon State University in Corvallis, Oregon on May 6, 1974. So again, one a month. Roberta,
That's insane. He's doing this nonstop. He's either planning it or doing it.
It's tough to say, and you got to keep in mind that this is before the internet. This is long before cell phones, and the police probably aren't really talking to each other from city to city, let alone state to state.
Right.
So this is easy at the time, and this is soon after they finished building all the highways. So now you can get in and out of places so much faster than you could before this.
Yeah.
So
that's crazy.
So Roberta is the first known victim of Bundy in Oregon.
Wow.
She disappeared somewhere between her dorm at Oregon State and a coffee shop where her friends were waiting to meet her. Investigators would later find her skull among other people's skulls at Tyler Mountain in Washington.
Oh my God.
Yeah. He brought his victims quite a ways.
Yeah.
So Bundy's next victim was a woman named Brenda Ball, who was never seen again after leaving a place called the Flame Tavern in Burien, Washington, on June 1st, 1974. So witnesses stated that they saw her talking to a man wearing a cast, and then she was never seen again.
Oh, so this is his fucking bit.
Yeah, like I said, it's effective, you know?
Yeah.
Bundy then murdered Georgianne Hawkins, a student at the University of Washington and a member of the Kappa Alpha Theta on-campus sorority. In the early morning hours of June 11th, 1974, she walked through an alley from her boyfriend's dormitory to her sorority house, and she was never seen again. Witnesses later reported seeing a man with his leg in a cast struggling to carry a briefcase in the area that night.
Oh, man.
Yep. One student reported that the man asked her for help carrying the briefcase to his car, which was a VW Beetle.
Whoop.
Yep. So he's getting a little sloppy.
Yeah, I mean, this is starting as, like, people are going to figure this out.
You would think, but yeah.
Like, it's harder to raise awareness in,
yeah.
Before the internet.
Oh, just
This
wait.
is before Amber Alerts. This is before, yeah.
Oh, but just wait, because there's one horrible moment on behalf of all of law enforcement in this. You guys will love it.
Oh, God.
Bundy's Washington killing spree culminated on July 14th, 1974, with the daytime abduction of two women named Janice Ott and Denise Naslin from the Lake Sammamish State Park in Issaquah. Yeah.
See, now he's just getting cocky.
That day, 8 different people told police about a handsome young man with his left arm in a sling who told them his name was Ted.
Damn.
5 of them were women whom Ted had asked for help unloading a sailboat from his VW Beetle.
Oh, my God.
Yeah. One of them went with Ted as far as his car, but then when there was no sailboat there, she declined to help him any further because he was basically saying, "Oh, we gotta drive to get it."
Yeah, and she's using her smarts.
Yeah, she's one of, I would assume many, but unfortunately there were 2 that didn't use their smarts.
That's tough.
3 more witnesses testified to seeing him approach one of the girls with a story about a sailboat and seeing her walk away from the beach in his company. That was Janice Ott, and she would never be seen alive again.
Oh, my God.
Yeah. Now, Denise Naslin disappeared without a trace 4 hours later from the same place.
What?
So you gotta imagine this. This is a big summer party. It's like a festival, like a fair. So you have thousands of people at this lake just having a good time.
And he's just going back and forth.
And Bundy takes one, does what he does, comes back 4 hours later, and takes someone else.
Oh, my God.
So King County detectives now had a description of both the suspect and his vehicle. So some witnesses told investigators that Ted, the Ted they encountered, spoke with a clipped British accent.
Huh.
Oh, geez, now he's doing voices.
Right? So soon, flyers were up and all over the Seattle area. So after seeing the police sketch and the description of the Lake Sammamish suspect in both local newspapers and on TV, his girlfriend Elizabeth, one of his psychology professors, and Anne Rule, who used to work with him, all reported to police that he may be that Ted.
Oh, my God. They're really giving... The police have a lot of information here.
Yeah, exactly. But we're not even halfway through.
This is crazy.
So the police, who were receiving up to 200 tips a day, did not pay any attention to a tip about a clean-cut law student.
Damn.
And there it is.
Yep.
There we go.
So the fragmented remains of Janice Ott and Denise Naslin were discovered on September 7th, 1974, off Interstate 90 near Issaquah, 1 mile from the park. He only took them a mile away. So found him.
If he's coming back that fast, he can't possibly be taking him that far.
Exactly. And doing whatever else he's doing. Probably sexually assaulting them, murdering them, who knows what else.
Ugh, awful.
So found along with their remains was an extra femur bone and vertebrae, which Bundy would later identify as that of Georgianne Hawkins. So he has multiple dumping grounds. He's got the mountain and
Horrifying.
Crazy. So between March 1st and March 3rd of 1975, the skulls and jawbones of Healy, Rancourt, Parks, and Bell were all found on the mountain, Taylor Mountain, just east of Issaquah. Years later, Bundy claimed that he also had dumped Donna Mason's body up there, but no trace of her was ever found.
Oh my God.
Now, at this point, the disappearances of young women in the Pacific Northwest abruptly stopped. And
Huh.
want to take any guesses as to why?
Did he start dating someone?
No, he's still with Elizabeth.
Oh my God. That's crazy.
Well, Elizabeth said in interviews that after she reported him to police and they told her it's definitely not him, she relaxed about being suspicious about him.
Oh, geez. Yeah.
Crazy.
That's crazy. Yeah, but it makes sense. Oh, yeah. All right. Yeah. I don't know. What made him stop?
Well, I was going to ask Jameson, but I realized he knows.
No.
Yeah, I'm keeping quiet and waiting for the shoe to drop here.
So that autumn, Bundy began attending the University of Utah Law School in Salt Lake City, where he would eventually resume his killing that October.
Oh, God. So he was just moving.
He moved from Washington to Utah.
That'll really throw him off your trail.
You're right, especially when they're not talking to each other.
Yeah.
You know, we have a national database for shit now, but back then, they weren't ready for somebody like him.
No.
So 16...
Damn, it was so much easier to get away with crime. What the fuck?
It was much easier. And this is around the same time that you got that guy changing his name and abducting the little girl and raising her as his own kid.
Oh, true, yeah.
So 16-year-old cheerleader Nancy Wilcox disappeared from Holiday, Utah on October 2nd, 1974, when she went out to buy a pack of gum and vanished.
Damn. That's just, you're not safe anywhere.
Nancy was last seen riding in a Volkswagen Beetle.
Oh, man.
You'd think I don't know. It just blows my mind. But you know what? He was getting away with it, so he probably wasn't questioning it.
Yeah, of course. It's like he can be blatant because no one's going to catch him.
Yeah, it's fucking nuts. Obviously he feels invulnerable.
Mm-hmm.
So then on October 11th, Bundy approached Rhonda Stapley. Rhonda was a first-year pharmacy student waiting for the bus to take her back to the University of Utah when Bundy offered to give her a ride in his trademark VW.
Oh, my goodness.
Bundy took her to Big Cottonwood Canyon, where he repeatedly strangled and raped her.
Oh my God.
Rhonda escaped, though.
Oh, my God.
The only reason she got away is that Bundy turned his back on her, giving her the chance to run for her life and jump into a nearby river.
Oh, shit.
However, instead of contacting authorities, Rhonda hid her story for nearly 40 years because she was afraid of being blamed and ridiculed for what happened.
Oh my God, poor thing.
She wouldn't speak publicly until 2011.
Holy shit.
So awful.
So fucked up. On October 18th, 1974, Bundy murdered Melissa Smith, a 17-year-old daughter of the Midvale police chief.
Holy shit.
Oh, yeah.
She disappeared after meeting with a friend at a pizza parlor. She planned to walk home, pick up some clothes, and then head to a friend's house for a slumber party, but she never made it home.
Oh my God.
Bundy raped her, sodomized her, and strangled her.
Oh, that's so awful.
Her body was found 9 days later in Summit Park in the mountains east of Salt Lake City. He has a thing for mountains.
Oh.
Yeah. Next was a girl by the name of Laura Amy, also 17. She disappeared when she left a Halloween party in Lehi, Utah on Halloween 1974. Her naked, beaten, and strangled corpse was found nearly a month later by hitchhikers on Thanksgiving Day on the banks of a river in the American Fork Canyon.
Oh my God.
It's crazy how quickly and how many he's just getting away with.
How many are we up to at this point?
I honestly wasn't keeping account as I was going because there's some
So
that
many.
aren't official. Like, but yeah, but there's a lot. I think we're at 12-ish now.
Wow.
In Murray, Utah, on November 8th, 1974, Carol DeRonch narrowly escaped with her life. Claiming to be a police officer, Bundy approached her at the Fashion Place Mall, told her someone was trying to break into her car, and asked her to accompany him to the police station. She got
Oh my God, that's a cruel trick.
Yeah. She got into his car but ignored his instruction to buckle her seatbelt. They drove for a short period before Bundy suddenly pulled to the shoulder of the road and attempted to slap a pair of handcuffs on her wrists.
Oh my God.
As she struggled against this, he accidentally fastened both ends of the handcuffs to the same wrist. So
Idiot.
he took out a crowbar, but Carol caught it like in the air before it would have impacted her skull.
Oh my God.
She then opened the door and tumbled out onto the highway and flagged down a car and escaped from Bundy. About an hour
Holy
later,
shit.
a very agitated Bundy entered the Viewmont High School in Bountiful, Utah, where a drama club was putting on a play. He approached the drama teacher and then a student, asking both of them to come out to the parking lot to identify a car. They both declined. The drama teacher...
Yeah, he's just like walking into places trying to steal people.
It's fucking crazy, but he was getting away with it.
Yeah, and it was just working. It's crazy.
So the drama...
I wonder how many stories there are of people who, like, maybe we don't know about who said, like, no and wouldn't go with him. Like, I just, like...
That's true. How many people did he approach that didn't even report it?
Yeah, like, who wouldn't have even remembered it because they were just like, oh, it's just some weird thing that happened.
Yeah, some weird guy wanted me to go out and identify a car, but I told him I didn't have a car. So, they don't even think about it.
Right.
So the drama teacher saw him again shortly before the end of the play. This time he was breathing hard and his hair was all sorts of messy and his shirt was untucked. And another student saw him lurking at the rear of the auditorium. A girl...
Does nobody think this is like out of place? That somebody can just walk in and be like that? Like,
well, that's what I mean. Today, you couldn't even get inside the school. So It's a very different time. But yeah, you would think someone would call the police. But maybe they're also afraid. Maybe they think it's like some abusive father of one of the students up on the stage or something.
Right. Like, at the end of the day, you probably would see a weird guy somewhere and you're like, huh, that's kind of weird. I don't know what's up with him.
Yeah,
like you wouldn't necessarily even think much of it.
Yeah, every neighborhood has that weird guy,
Right, exactly.
But the fact that he's in a school, I don't know. To me, that's a million red flags. But
yeah, and that's why I'm like, well, why didn't anybody, especially if you see him disheveled?
Well, and that's just it. But you got to go back to the Sylvia Likens story, where people just don't do what they should do, and that's the problem.
Okay.
So, 17-year-old Debbie Kent, she was a student at the high school, left the play at intermission to go pick up her brother, and was never seen alive again.
Oh.
Debbie's parents refused to turn off their home's front porch light ever since her disappearance. Her mother is quoted saying, quote, "I will never turn it off. As long as I'm here, I will never turn it off."
Oh.
Later, while investigators were searching the area, they found a small key in the parking lot outside that unlocked the handcuffs that were on Carol DeRonch.
Oh. So now they're like, oh my God, the connection is so obvious.
It's so obvious, and yet here we are. So those keys were the first piece of physical evidence Bundy ever left behind.
Wow.
So in 1975, while attending law school at the University of Utah, Bundy shifted his crimes to Colorado.
Damn. He just doesn't even have to move that far, really.
No, not really, because as I'm looking at a map that's right here above me, it's not that long a drive.
No, it's really not.
So on January 12th, 1975, Karen Campbell disappeared from the Wildwood Inn at Snowmass, Colorado. She was a registered nurse that was in town to ski and attend a medical convention. And on the night of January 12th, she literally left her fiancé and the children in the hotel lobby to go to her room to grab a magazine.
Oh my God.
And she vanished somewhere in the 50 feet between the elevator doors and her room.
That's fucking crazy.
I mean, that's fast.
It's so fast. It's crazy.
Her body would be found over a month later on February 17th, 1975, which is even more upsetting. You had to wait a whole
Yeah.
month, you know?
What an agonizing month. And then to find that out is awful.
So next was a ski instructor named Julie Cunningham who disappeared on March 15th, 1975. Now, while in prison, Bundy would later confess to Colorado investigators that he used crutches to approach Cunningham and asked her for help to carry some ski boots to his car. At the car, Bundy clubbed her with a crowbar and immobilized her with handcuffs, later strangling her. So he has
Oh my God.
He has it down pat.
Yeah, and he's strangling all of these people. That's his sort of method.
Right. Yeah, that takes so long. So that's anger and time and strength. Like
Yeah, it's a weird thing for that to be your choice. It's like it's not the fastest, it's not the easiest.
No, but it's personal as fuck.
Yeah, it is.
And that's probably what he wanted.
Yeah, clearly if he keeps doing it, yeah. On April 6, 1975, after a fight with her husband in Grand Junction, Colorado, 24-year-old Denise Oliverson jumped on her bike and headed to her parents' house. She never made it.
Oh.
Investigators later found her bicycle under a viaduct. On May 6th, Bundy took one of his youngest victims, Lynette Culver, who was just 12 years old.
Oh my God.
When Bundy abducted her in Pocatello, Idaho. He had spotted her earlier that day on a playing field of Alameda Junior High School.
Fucked. Oh my God.
He raped her, murdered her in a hotel bathtub, and threw her into a river.
Ugh.
Oh, that's so fucking awful.
After his return to Utah, a girl named Susan Curtis vanished on June 28, 1975.
It's just one after the other.
It's like one. It's
It's
basically
nonstop.
one a month. Yeah, like many of Bundy's victims, Susan disappeared from a college campus. Only 15, Bundy abducted her as she left a Mormon youth conference at Brigham Youth University. She lived in the same neighborhood and attended the same school as his previous victim, Debbie Kent.
Oh my God, it's just getting insanely sloppy, and it doesn't matter. Nothing's gonna happen.
So in his glut for violent murders, Bundy had almost forgotten about Susan as a victim, and she was the last person he confessed to killing when, on the way to his execution, he literally stopped and asked for a tape recorder and confessed to killing her.
Oh my God.
Wow.
Yeah.
That is dark as hell.
Yeah, crazy. Now, there are some people who speculate he did that in a hopes to delay his execution, that he was holding back cards, hoping to keep extending out his life. But it's really tough to say, especially because they were like, nope, you're fucking dying.
Yeah.
As he should have. So the bodies of Cunningham, Culver, Curtis, and Oliverson have never been recovered.
That's just awful.
So meanwhile, back in Washington state, investigators were attempting to prioritize their enormous list of suspects. They used computers to cross-check different likely lists of suspects, classmates of Linda Healy, owners of Volkswagens, etc., against each other, and then identify suspects who turned up on more than one list.
All right, they're doing the work.
Right, exactly. Finally. Theodore Robert Bundy was one of 25 people who turned up on 4 separate lists, and his case file was the second on the to-be-investigated pile.
Thank goodness for that.
When a call came from Utah about an arrest. Bundy was arrested on August 16, 1975 in Salt Lake City for failing to stop for a police officer.
Damn, bitch.
It's always the small
of all
crap.
things.
Right? A search of his car revealed a ski mask, a crowbar, handcuffs, trash bags, an ice pick, and other items that were thought by police to be burglary tools.
They're jumping to burglary, not to murder.
That's where they went with it.
Murder starter kit.
Back then, Utah was like, oh, he must be breaking into houses.
Oh, God forbid.
Bundy remained calm during questioning, explaining that he needed the mask for skiing, which makes sense, there are mountains there, and that he had found the handcuffs in a dumpster.
Uh-huh. Well, that explains it.
Right?
That's
I mean,
just a really sad cop out.
I always take stuff I find out of a dumpster.
Yeah, you know
Clearly.
me, I'm always jumping in the dumpster, and when I see something as good as a pair of handcuffs, I'm like, yeah, taking that one.
Right? Keeping that. So Utah Detective Jerry Thompson connected Bundy and his Volkswagen to the Carol DeRanche kidnapping and the missing girls and searched his apartment.
It's about
There we
damn
go.
time.
The,
We're doing something.
the search uncovered a brochure of Colorado ski resorts with a check mark by the Wildwood Inn where Karen Campbell had disappeared.
Oh my god, that's fucking
That's dark as
spooky.
hell.
Right? You can just tell he didn't expect to ever get caught,
No,
No,
not
I
at
just
all.
never thought anyone would ever catch on, which
which
to be
means
fair, kind of seems like it.
which means his failure to stop is really fucking stupid.
It
Yeah,
is.
it's so dumb.
So after searching his apartment, the police brought Bundy in for a lineup before Carol DeRanche and some of the witnesses at the Bountiful School. They identified him as the police officer claiming Carol's car had been broken into and as the man lurking about the night Debbie Kent disappeared.
Damn. All right, now we're making progress.
Following a week-long trial, Bundy was convicted of Carol's kidnapping on March 1st, 1976, and sentenced to 15 years in Utah State Prison
For kidnapping?
for kidnapping.
Damn. I'm actually impressed that it's that much.
Agreed. That's crazy. So Colorado authorities were pursuing murder charges, and Bundy was extradited there to stand trial. On June 7th, 1977, in preparation for a hearing in the Carol Campbell murder trial, Bundy was taken to the Pitkin County Courthouse in Aspen. Now, Bundy acted as his own lawyer, which of course he did, right?
Of course he did. He thinks he knows everything, and
Well, he's
is
a
genius.
he's a law student, and,
Oh, that's true.
and he's a narcissist. So,
Yeah, that's a lovely combination.
and he's been able to talk his way into and out of everything so far. So
Yeah,
of
what
course
is
he's
this
going
gonna
to be
be
his
any
lawyer.
different, right?
Of course he's going to be his own lawyer. So as such, he was allowed access to the law books at the courthouse library to use in his own defense.
That's so crazy.
Damn.
During a court recess, he was in the courthouse law library when a very lax guard wasn't looking. He jumped out of the window of the second story and escaped.
Oh my god.
Yep.
Oh my god. Damn. He is maniacal.
In the minutes following his escape, Bundy at first ran, then strolled casually through the town of Aspen Mountain, blending in with the tourists and the citizens.
I
He-
can just picture that.
That's smart.
He made it all the way to the top of Aspen Mountain without being detected, where he rested for 2 days in an abandoned hunting cabin.
2 days? Wow.
2 days. However, he lost his sense of direction and wandered around the mountain, missing 2 trails that would have led down off the mountain.
Damn.
At one point, he came face to face with a gun-toting citizen who was one of the searchers out scouring the mountains for him, but he talked his way out of capture.
Oh my
What?
god.
Yup. On
Did you like convince him that it wasn't him, or
He must have. Can you imagine that moment? You know, you're just
That's
talking
fucking
for
crazy.
your life. Yeah. So on June 13th, 1977, Bundy stole a car he found on the mountain. He drove back into Aspen, and he might have gotten away, but 2 police deputies noticed the vehicle with dimmed headlights weaving in and out of the lane and pulled Bundy over.
Damn, if only he didn't fucking drive like an idiot, he literally wouldn't
Right?
be caught for shit.
So they recognized him and put him back in jail. Bundy had been out on the run for a total of 6 days.
Damn. That's
Yeah.
like it's only him fucking up. It's not even like the cops doing a good job.
Right, exactly. The only cop who did a good job was the first cop who pulled him over and the
Yep.
first cop to connect it to the kidnapping of Carol DeRanche.
Yes.
So While back in custody, Bundy began working on a new escape plan. He was being held in the Glenwood Springs, Colorado jail while he awaited trial. Somehow, he acquired a hacksaw blade and $500 in cash.
He's in jail and he acquires this?
Yeah, he later claimed he got the blade from another inmate, but who the fuck
Wow.
knows? Yeah,
He's quite resourceful. Where did you get $500?
right? That's where did this come from? Exactly. What were you doing for that? So 2 weeks later, he sawed through the welds, fixing a metal plate in the ceiling of his cell. And after dieting and losing a substantial amount of weight, he was able to fit through the hole and access a crawl space above his cell.
Damn.
Okay, are we doing the Shawshank here? What are we
It's-
pulling?
Swear to God. Now, here's the funny thing. Another inmate, an informant in the prison, he told guards that at night he heard someone moving around in the ceiling,
Whoa.
but they never looked into it,
They're
No,
like,
like
"You
hell, they're
fucking
gonna
crazy
believe an
bitch."
inmate.
right?
Yeah,
So-
right? They think they're just trying to make trouble.
So when Bundy's Aspen trial judge ruled that on December 23rd, 1977, that the Karen Campbell murder trial would start on January 9th, but they would change the venue over to Colorado Springs, Bundy realized that he had to make his escape before he was transferred out of the Glenwood Springs jail.
Yeah.
So on the night of December 30th, 1977, Bundy dressed as warmly as he could. He packed books and files under his blanket to make it look like he was sleeping. He wiggled through the hole and up into the crawl space. Bundy crawled over a spot directly over the jailer's linen closet, and the jailer and his wife were out for the evening that night.
Damn.
He dropped down into the jailer's apartment and walked out the door.
Holy shit.
Yeah.
Absolute insanity.
That's terrifying.
Bundy was free, but he was on foot in the middle of a bitterly cold, snowy Colorado night.
Oof.
He stole a broken-down vehicle, but it stalled out in the mountains. He was stuck on the side of Interstate 70 in the middle of a blizzard in the middle of the night when another driver gave him a ride into the town of Vail.
Oh my God.
God damn. He's
Just
so
imagine
lucky.
being that person.
Right? When you hear the whole story, you're like, oh, fuck, I was that guy.
Right, yeah, exactly.
You're not raising your hand at that moment.
No,
Yeah.
not at all. You're shrinking.
So from there, he caught a bus to Denver and boarded a flight to Chicago. Right? This is so before computers would have had him down.
Yeah, that's insane. You can just get on a. Oh my god.
So the Glenwood Spring jail guards didn't notice Bundy was gone until noontime on December 31st, 17 hours after his escape, and at that point he was already in Chicago.
Damn.
Following his arrival in Chicago, Bundy then caught an Amtrak train to Ann Arbor, Michigan, where he got a room at the YMCA.
Damn. He is just scooting his boot.
He's not stupid. He's going to keep moving. Well, he should have kept moving, but he is.
Yep, right.
He does get stupid. On January 2nd, 1978, he went to an Ann Arbor bar and watched the University of Washington Huskies, the team of his alma mater, beat Michigan at the Rose Bowl. He's
Wow.
literally partying while he's fucking
Nothing
escaped
screams like
hunger.
I'm on the run, like watching your alma mater.
Yeah, what?
It's weird, but at the same time, what a great way to blend in.
Yeah, for
true.
real.
No one's suspecting him of anything.
Seems like he could be, just
Yeah,
a
could-
local fan. Could be anybody.
Anybody, yeah. He later stole a car in Ann Arbor, which he abandoned in Atlanta, Georgia, before boarding a bus to Tallahassee, Florida, where he arrived on January 8th, 1978.
Damn.
There, he rented a room at a boarding house under the alias of Chris Hagen and committed numerous petty crimes, including shoplifting, purse snatching, and auto theft.
Perch snatching?
Yeah, like grabbing purses off women's shoulders and running
Oh,
away.
I think you said perch, not
Oh,
purse.
yeah, purse snatching. Sorry.
Purse snatching.
Yeah, I probably really butchered that phrase because I'm not used to saying it.
Yeah, it's a kind of a funny one.
I want to know where all this money is coming from.
Oh, you mean for like the
theft?
hotel? Yeah, you mean the hotels and the boarding rooms?
And the boarding and
Yeah,
the bus and
it's
the
from yeah, it's from theft. He has to be stealing.
Damn, he's gotta be a good thief. He's really making a living off of it.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, he had he not done what he's about to do, he could have been on the run indefinitely. So he stole a student ID that belonged to a Kenneth Meisner and sent away for copies of Meisner's social security card and birth certificate.
Damn.
Bundy grew a mustache and drew a fake mole on his right cheek when he went out. But aside from that, he made no real attempt to disguise himself.
That's all it took.
Bundy tried to find work at a construction site, but when the personnel officer asked Bundy for his driver's license, Bundy walked away. This was his only attempt at job hunting.
He tried.
1 week after Bundy's arrival in Tallahassee, in the early hours of Super Bowl Sunday on January 15th, 1978, 2.5 years of repressed homicidal violence erupted.
Repressed?
He hasn't killed anyone in 2.5 years.
Oh, damn. Oh.
Yeah.
Okay, got you. Never mind.
Bundy entered the Florida State University Chi Omega sorority house at approximately 3 a.m. and killed 2 sleeping women.
Oh my god.
He snuck into the bedroom of 21-year-old Margaret Bowman and bludgeoned her to death with a piece of firewood.
Oh my god. What the fuck?
He then proceeded into the room of Lisa Levy, who was 20 years old. He beat her, strangled her, tore off one of her nipples, bit deeply into her left buttocks, and raped her with a bottle of hairspray.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh my fucking god.
I can't.
Yeah, this guy was dark.
I can't even imagine.
Oh, no, I can't.
He also bludgeoned 2 other Chi Omegas, Karen Chandler and Kathy Kleiner. Luckily for them, they both survived.
Holy shit.
Kathy would later recall seeing only a black mass. Quote, I couldn't even see that it was a person. I saw the club.
Oh my god. That's terrifying.
She said, I saw the club, saw him lift it over his head, and slam it down on me. That's what I remember most, him lifting the club and bringing it down on me, unquote.
Holy shit.
Bundy might have added Karen Chandler and Kathy Kleiner to his list of victims if not for the headlights that flashed through the windows of the sorority house. Their sorority sister, Nita Neary, had just arrived home. The entire episode of him killing the 2 women and victimizing the other 2 took less than a half an hour.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah. Although the
Down to a science.
Although the sorority girls escaped with their lives, both Karen and Kathy suffered permanent injuries.
Oh, that's awful.
Stunned at the intensity of the attack, paramedics even mistakenly told Kathy that someone had shot her in the face.
Holy shit.
That's how fucking brutal it was. So despite the life-scarring encounter, Kathy went on to marry, start a family, and refused to let herself be defined as the girl who survived a serial killer.
Good for her.
If anything, Kathy says the experience, quote, made me stronger and it gave me more to live for, and it taught me no one's going to put me down, unquote.
Damn.
After leaving the Chi Omega house, Bundy broke into another home a few blocks
Holy
away.
shit.
Yeah, he's not done yet. He broke into another home a few blocks away, clubbing and severely injuring Florida State University student Cheryl Thomas.
Oh my god.
Although Cheryl escaped with her life because her neighbors heard the noise, she did suffer permanent deafness, and this ended her dance career.
Oh god.
Yeah. So on February 9th, 1978, Bundy traveled to Lake City, Florida. While there, he abducted, raped, and murdered 12-year-old Kimberly Leach.
Oh god.
The poor girl was going to meet a friend and head to class together. 2 months.
Oh, it's so young.
12. I mean, you don't even understand the world really at 12, you know?
So sad.
2 months later, her body was found 35 miles away in Suwannee River State Park.
Oh.
On February 12th, 1978, Bundy stole yet another Volkswagen Beetle.
Damn, he's got his
The
real
car of
signature.
choice.
Yeah, he has his favorites. Yep. And he left Tallahassee for good, heading west across the Florida Panhandle. On February 15th, 3 days later, shortly after 1 a.m., Bundy was stopped by Pensacola police officer David Lee. When the officer called in to check the license plate, the vehicle came up as stolen. Bundy then resisted arrest before finally being subdued. As Lee took the unknown suspect to jail, Bundy said, quote, "I wish you had killed me," unquote.
Damn.
At his booking, Bundy gave the police the name Ken Meisner and presented the stolen identification for Meisner. But the Florida
Damn.
Department of Law Enforcement made a positive fingerprint identification early the next day.
Oh, there we go. At least they had that.
Right? Yeah, finally. So he was immediately transported to Tallahassee and subsequently charged with the Tallahassee and Lake City murders. He was later taken to Miami to stand trial for the Chi Omega murders. Now, there's a lot about this trial that I have cut out of here because we've talked about this in the past. As interesting as some of it is, and we will cover some of it, we're not going to go into all of it because it's just so much. But
Damn.
But one thing I am going to cover very loosely right now that I won't go into, this trial attracted a lot of media attention.
I bet.
And there were women outside the courthouse pretty much swooning over this man.
Yo, this is what I've heard, and that's fucking
Just sick.
Yeah.
like, what kind of marketing is happening that's making us like, what?
I have no idea. I really don't understand it. But
It's the bad boy.
well,
No, this just doesn't make
they would have been dead. But-
right. What?
Yeah. So Bundy went on trial in June of 1979 at the Dade County Circuit Court under Judge Edward D. Cowart. Despite having 5 court-appointed lawyers, Bundy insisted on acting as his own attorney,
Dumbass.
even when
He'll-
cross-examining witnesses.
He'll never stop.
No. Including when he cross-examined the police officer who discovered Margaret Bowman's body.
Oh, that would have been entertaining as hell to see.
Yeah. Now, he was prosecuted by Assistant State Attorney Larry Simpson. Now, 2 pieces of evidence were proved absolutely crucial. First, Chi Omega member Nita Neary, getting back to the house very late from a date, saw Bundy as he left and was able to identify him in court.
Damn.
And second, during his homicidal frenzy, Bundy had bit Lisa Levy and he left his bite marks in her buttocks.
Oh my god.
So police took plaster casts of Bundy's teeth, and a forensic expert came in and matched them to the photograph of the wounds on Lisa Levy.
Damn. That's crazy.
Yeah. So Bundy was convicted on all counts and sentenced to death.
Damn. What
Yeah.
state is this in again?
Florida.
Florida. Damn.
Yeah, they don't fuck around. I do want to state, because we're covering this very loosely and broadly, but one of the things that Bundy did do during this is, as people were, up on the stand and he's cross-examining them, he made them go through what the crime scene looked like in horrible detail.
Oh.
Yeah, because he wanted to relive it. He
Right.
wanted that memory.
Yeah, he was definitely getting off on that, and
Oh,
that
definitely.
turned the jury against him. One of the many things that turned the jury against him.
Yeah,
So-
that must have been such a deranged thing to watch.
One of the things I don't know I agree with this guy saying, but the judge, Cowart, he basically said this when he gave him the verdict. Quote, "It is ordered that you be put to death by a current of electricity, that current be passed through your body until you are dead. Take care of yourself, young man. I say that to you sincerely. Take care of yourself, please. It is an utter tragedy for this court to see such a total waste of humanity as I've experienced in this courtroom. You're a bright young man. You would have made a good lawyer, and I would have loved to have you practice in front of me, but you went another way, partner." Unquote.
What the fuck?
That's fucked up.
I mean, it's funny in a way, but at the same time, you just complimented a fucking serial killer.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's,
exactly.
like, weird.
What?
How does the family of those just fucking bothers me? So
Yeah.
I don't
It's
agree
an
with him
interesting
saying that.
perspective.
Yeah. And I know some people like to quote it because they're like, "Oh man, it was like a burn." No, it wasn't. He complimented this guy, and
Yeah,
and
what?
Bundy would have eaten that up.
The minute you
Yeah,
say
that's
take
feeding into his
care of
ego.
yourself, like that right there.
Yeah, take care of yourself. I would have loved for you to practice in front of me. What?
Yeah, what the fuck?
Yeah, no, I would have left it at the currents, the current of electricity going through his body. I'm like, and I'll be there to watch it, fucker.
Yeah.
I'll be flipping the switch.
Yeah. So Bundy was then tried for the Kimberly Leach murder in 1980. He was again convicted on all counts, principally due to fibers found in his van that matched Leach's clothes and an eyewitness that saw him leading her away from the school, and he was sentenced to death.
Mm-hmm.
During the Kimberly Leach trial, a former co-worker named Carol Ann Boone began visiting him and was in the courtroom pretty much every day of the trial. When asked about her thoughts on Bundy being a murderer, Carol Ann Boone seemed unwavering in her loyalty to Ted Bundy, having said, quote, "Let me put it this way, I don't think he belongs in jail. The things
Whoa.
the things in Florida don't concern me any more than the things out west do," unquote.
Whoa.
Yeah. So her convictions in that sense were so strong that she decided to move to Gainesville, Florida, about 40 miles from the prison, and began to visit Bundy on a weekly basis. She
Whoa.
even brought her son from a previous marriage along with her.
This bitch is nuts.
It's going to get worse. So, acting as his own defense attorney, Bundy called Boone to take the witness stand on February 9th, 1980. When asked to describe him, Boone classified him as a, quote, kind, warm, and patient person. Bundy then asked Carol Ann Boone on the stand in the midst of a murder trial to marry him. She agreed, but
Oh, dear
fuck?
God.
but get ready for this. But the transaction wasn't legitimate until Bundy said, quote, "I do hereby marry you," unquote, and the pair were officially formed in a union of marriage. You see,
Is that how it works in court?
ready? You see, Bundy, being as clever as he was, figured out a way to marry Carol Ann Boone while incarcerated. He found an old Florida law that stated as long as a judge is present during the declaration of a marriage in court, the intended transaction is legally valid.
Damn.
Yep.
That's some smart shit right there.
Now, Boone, for her part, made sure to contact a notary republic to witness it and stamp the marriage license.
Damn.
Yeah. How fucking weird is that?
Oh, it's so weird.
So I just want to say, you're the family of Kimberly Leach, and her fucking killer managed to get married during her murder trial.
Like,
I'd
is
be
abusing
absolute
the
bullshit.
purpose of that trial to, like, oh, that's beyond fucked up.
And you can see this footage online. You can watch it. It's out there. The whole thing, him asking her, the fucking smirk on his face when he turns away and says the final line, making it legal. You can see the
Oh,
smirk
dear
on his
God, that's
fucking
Oh,
face.
what a monster.
No. Oh.
So, following numerous conjugal visits, because they're married now and it's legal,
Damn.
between Bundy and his new wife, Boone would give birth to a daughter in October of 1982.
Oh, that
my
poor
God.
child.
Yeah. However, in 1986, Boone did move back to Washington and never returned to Florida. Her whereabouts and that of Bundy's daughter are presently unknown. Hopefully she had a normal life, the little girl. Because she would be, I don't know, in her 40s now?
Damn.
Crazy. While awaiting execution in Stark Prison, Bundy was housed in the cell next to fellow serial killer Otis Toole, the supposed murderer of Adam Walsh, who we've talked about on
Oh,
this.
wow.
That's crazy.
It's weird how it all comes together.
Wow.
So FBI profiler Robert Ressler met with him there as a part of his work interviewing serial killers, but found Bundy to be uncooperative and manipulative, willing only to speak in third person and only in hypotheticals.
What the fuck?
Yeah, so writing in 1992, Ressler spoke of his impression of Bundy in comparison to his reviews of other serial killers, saying, quote, "This guy was an animal, and it amazed me that the media seemed unable to understand that," unquote.
Damn.
However, during the same period, Bundy was often visited by Special Agent William Hagmeyer of the FBI from their behavioral science unit. Bundy would come to confide in Hagmeyer, going so far as to call him his best friend, which I guess in prison,
Whoa.
in prison you don't have too many friends, I'm guessing. Eventually, Bundy confessed to Hagmeyer many of the details of murders that had been unknown and unconfirmed up until that point.
Damn.
In October of 1984, Bundy contacted former King County homicide detective Bob Kemple and offered to assist in the ongoing search for the Green River Killer by providing his own insights and analysis.
Oh, whoa.
Weird. And this happened in that Russian case we talked about, too.
Yeah.
Keppel and the Green River Task Force detective Dave Reichart traveled to Florida's death row to interview Bundy. Both detectives later stated that these interviews were of little actual help in their investigation, as they provided far greater insight into Bundy's own mind, and, they weren't really helpful in their investigation.
Interesting. He just wanted to be interviewed.
Yeah, he doesn't want to fall from the limelight.
Yeah, he wanted attention.
Right. So when Bundy was confronted by law enforcement officers who stated that they believed the number of individuals he had murdered was 36, Bundy told them that they should add one digit to that and they'll have it.
Huh.
So it's speculated that this meant Bundy is saying he killed over 100 women.
Oh my god.
Yeah. Speaking to his lawyer, Polly Nelson, in 1988, however, Bundy dismissed the 100-plus victim speculation and said that it was the more common estimate of approximately 35 victims was accurate.
Oh, okay.
Right. So he was obviously just, blowing smoke up somebody's ass with the 100-plus.
Yeah. Just trying to get notoriety.
Right. So Bundy contacted Keppel again in 1988. With execution imminent, Bundy confessed to 8 official unsolved murders in Washington state for which he was the prime suspect. Bundy told Keppel that there were actually 5 bodies left on Taylor Mountain, not the 4 that were originally thought. Bundy confessed in details to the murder of Georgianne Hawkins, describing how he lured her to his car, clubbed her with a tire iron, and had stashed her on the ground under his car, drove away with her in the car with him, and later raped and strangled her.
Oh.
After the interview, Keppel reported that he had been shocked in speaking to Bundy and that he was the kind of man who was, quote, born to kill, unquote.
Oof.
Keppel stated, quote, he described the Issaquah crime scene where Janice Ott and Denise Naslin and Georgianne Hawkins had been left, and it was almost like he was there, like he was seeing everything. He was infatuated with the idea because he spent so much time there. He was just totally consumed with murder all the time, unquote.
Oof. That's spooky.
So Bundy had hoped that he could use his revelations about his murder, like confessions and partial confessions, to get another stay of execution and possibly commute his sentence to life in prison.
Damn.
At one point, a legal advocate working for Bundy asked many of the families of the victims to fax letters to Florida Governor Robert Martinez to ask for mercy for Bundy.
What twisted?
What the hell?
Yeah, so that they could find out where the remains of their loved ones were.
Oh god.
All of the families refused. Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense. There's some things that just aren't worth it.
Yeah, like fuck him, he deserves to die.
Yes.
So Keppel and others reported that Bundy gave scant details about his crimes during his confessions and promised to reveal more and other body dump sites if he were given more time. The ploy failed and Bundy was executed on schedule.
Wow.
The night before Bundy was executed, he gave a television interview to James Dobson head of the evangelical Christian organization Focus on the Family.
What the fuck?
Oh, this is hysterical.
Holy balls. What?
Just wait. During the interview, Bundy made repeated claims as to the pornographic roots of his crimes.
Oh.
He stated that while pornography did not cause him to commit murder, the consumption of violent pornography helped shape and mold his violence into behavior too terrible to describe.
The fuck?
Yeah, he's doing everything. He's thinking maybe these extreme Christians can help save his life, is basically what he's trying to do here.
Yeah, he's like, I'll pander to anybody, whatever it takes.
So he alleged that he felt that violence in the media, particularly sexualized violence, sent boys down the road to being Ted Bundys.
Whoa.
Yeah.
That's quite an agenda.
That's something right there. In the same interview, Bundy stated, quote, "You are going to kill me, and that will protect society from me. But out there are many, many more people who are addicted to pornography, and you are doing nothing about that," unquote.
Damn, what the fuck?
Anything he can do to save his life. That's all he's doing. So, according to Hagmeyer, Bundy contemplated suicide in the days leading up to his execution, but eventually decided against it. At 7:06 a.m. local time on January 24th, 1989, Bundy was executed in the electric chair at Florida State Prison in Stark, Florida. His last words were, "I'd like you to give my love to my family and friends."
Bitch, who?
Right?
Bitch, what?
Exactly what?
What?
So then, more than 2,000 volts of electricity were applied across his body for less than 2 minutes. He was pronounced dead at 7:16 a.m. Several hundred people gathered outside the prison and cheered when they saw the signal that Bundy had been declared dead.
Damn.
So, I remember this happening.
So, say what year was it again?
1989.
I'm pretty sure I've seen footage of that.
Yeah, and the footage is on various documentaries, so you could have. But I remember seeing it live on the news.
Whoa.
Yeah, everybody was watching the news for that. Like there were crowds of people out there. It was like they were like selling shit. You know,
Damn.
it was crazy. And it was around the same time as the release of Silence of the Lambs. So this was like my awakening into serial killers. Because prior to this,
Yeah.
I didn't know who he was until he was executed. And then it was like, holy shit, there are people out there who do this?
Yeah, and like multiple of them.
Crazy. So, as we reach the end here, I do want to take a moment to briefly discuss some possible Bundy victims that he did not confess to directly.
Gotcha.
There are numerous unnamed and undiscovered hitchhikers Bundy confessed to that could not be substantiated. Bundy is a suspect in the murder of Carol Venezuela, who disappeared from Vancouver, Washington on August 2nd, 1974. Her remains were discovered 2 months later south of Olympia, Washington, along with those of an unidentified female. Bundy is a suspect in the murder of Melanie Suzanne Cooley, who disappeared on April 15, 1975, after leaving Nederland High School in Nederland, Colorado. Her bludgeoned and strangled corpse was discovered by road maintenance workers on May 2, 1975, in nearby Coal Creek Canyon. Gas receipts place Bundy in nearby Golden the day of the Cooley abduction. The Jefferson County, Colorado Sheriff's Office has classified Melanie Cooley murder as a cold case. But let's be honest, he probably killed her.
Yeah, I mean, realistically.
Right, and to wrap up one loose end from the very beginning of this episode. On December 6, 1973, a couple stumbled across the remains of a 15-year-old girl in McKinney Park in Washington. Kathy Devine was last seen by her friends on November 25th hitchhiking from Seattle to Oregon, trying to run away from home.
Oh no, that's so rough.
Yeah. Shortly after she began her journey, pathologists said she met her death. Kathy Devine had been strangled, sodomized, and her throat was cut.
Oh.
Everybody believed Kathy Devine was one of the many victims of Ted Bundy. It took 28 years and DNA evidence to find the truth. At the time of the murder, William E. Cosden Jr. had been living in the area and had been seen at a truck stop where he worked, and he had blood on his clothes. Cosden had been released in 1973 from a mental hospital where he was confined after a 1967 murder of a woman. During initial interviews with police, Cosden denied ever seeing Kathy Devine. In '86, based on additional investigative information, a search warrant was obtained for Cosden's blood, hair, and saliva. At that time, Cosden was in prison for rape. It wouldn't be until 2002 that these samples from Cosden were finally subjected to DNA testing, and it was this evidence that linked Cosden to the death and murder of Kathy Devine.
Oh, wow.
Cosden, 55, did admit to having sex with Kathy, but he denied killing her. Quote, DNA made the case, said Sheriff Gary Edward. This came about as a result of technology and a lot of hard work, unquote. So,
yeah, thank God for the DNA tech.
I mean, it's just funny to think, like, the obvious choice for her killer would have been Bundy, minus the cutting of the throat. That wasn't really his thing.
Right, he's strangler.
Right, or bludgeon her to death. Right.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that is the very famous and crazy case of Ted Bundy. What do you think, Joyous?
Damn, I mean, certainly there is a reason why it is so famous. Certainly out of, like, all the cases we talk about, right? We always talk about the more niche cases. I feel like
right,
just the quantity, the sheer quantity and speed and the audacity and the boldness, like,
and the two escapes. I mean, holy
right, yeah,
shit.
it's dramatic, it's got twists, and also, like, the kind of, like, really specific way that he lured in his victims. And I feel like that so much contributes to, like, I don't know, like, the psyche of, like, societal psyche of, like, fearing random men and, like,
stranger danger.
Yeah, like, stranger danger, and, like, the, not trusting random people, and that you could be really abducted or hurt or killed by anybody.
Yeah, and even if they're asking for help, you still need to be suspicious, even if they look helpless.
Yeah, I feel like it's, like, definitely lives in our collective minds.
Yeah, there's
it does now. I mean,
yes.
Imagine being back then. Back then you didn't give anybody a second thought.
Well,
it was
thought
just somebody who needed help.
Yeah, people thought they were good people back then.
Right.
And there are still good people today, but none of us would take those chances now.
Yeah.
No, not at all.
I hate to say it, I'm not even sure I would help someone to their car with shit. You know what I mean? Like, nope, sorry, you're on your own, buddy.
Yeah.
I remember being out, I was on the Virgin Islands with a friend of mine, and a homeless person asked us for money. And I literally, like, waved the guy off. But my friend, she stopped, opened her purse, and gave him money.
Oh, boy.
After we started walking away, she, without me saying another word, she's like, don't give me any shit about this, yada, yada, yada. And I said to her, I'm like, I don't care that you give money to someone on the side of the road, but don't stop and open your purse, because this guy could just be like, why am I taking what little bit you're giving me? I could just hit you and take all
the whole
of it.
thing. Right.
Right, yeah.
And so she just didn't think that way. And I think that's how everyone thought in the 70s.
Right. It's just like you usually assume the best in people.
Right. And now today, 2024, here we are. Now we're, like, suspicious of everything. Like, I was listening to a podcast that went on for a while because one of the podcasters, it was two women, she was talking about how there were marks on her car after she went to, like, a Salvation Army with her daughter. And she thought it was weird and went online and looked up, and she was like, and she fell down this rabbit hole of human traffickers and marking cars to tell someone else that there's a woman and a child.
God. What?
And this whole thing. And she went on for a little bit warning her listeners to pay attention to this. So I was like, is that true? And I went online and I started doing my own digging, and it turns out that's a myth. Like, no one is sitting, there is not a scout and then the abductor.
Yeah, there's a lot of, like, I don't know, I feel like hypervigilance because of, like, knowing a little too much about cases like these, and maybe it says something about, like, how much attention we pay to things like this, and, like, I don't know, even the fascination with crime that makes us more paranoid.
Right, and we should be. But at the same time, you shouldn't also then spread misinformation without researching more.
Right.
Now, don't get me wrong, this episode was recorded a couple years ago, so maybe the myth of it hadn't quite been debunked.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, I don't know, I guess you can't really go back and retract what you said, but I just seemed to me like a weird thing to do, you know? So that's why
Yeah.
I dug deep, because I initially thought, shit, maybe that is something we should get out there. And then I was like, oh, no, that's not a thing. Like, if they're going to take you, they're going to take you fast, quick, and get you the fuck out. They're not going to mark.
Exactly.
They're not going to mark your car and follow you. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's like Occam's. We have to use Occam's razor a little bit and be like, realistically, like if somebody wants to kidnap you, they will do it. They don't need to stalk you. They will just do it.
Yeah, they're not going to mark your car for someone else.
Yeah, it wouldn't be that coordinated.
Yeah, that's
No.
something out of a movie, I think. So,
Yeah, I agree. But
yeah,
and it's like, really, we shouldn't spread that because it's like just another thing for women to be afraid of. And like, please, we have so much anxiety already.
I actually had just recently had a conversation with someone about this, and you and I may have talked about this in the past, but when I was in college, there was a guest speaker they had come in for a women's studies course, and everyone was welcome to come to this guest speaker, and he did this amazingly effective demonstration where he took 2 whiteboards, and on one side he wrote men, on the other side he wrote women, and he started in the most perfect way, because you can sum it all up very quickly. He said, all right, men, show of hands, I need a list. How many things do you do every day to protect yourself from sexual violence? And there was this kind of awkward laugh, like, because we're all sitting there looking at each other like, nothing, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then he said, okay, we'll come back to you men. Women, what are things you do every day to protect yourself from sexual violence? And their board filled up so fast that he was like,
Yep.
he was like, men, we're going to use your board too.
Mm-hmm.
And it was so, and like in
Wow,
that moment, it was
that's
so clear.
powerful.
Yeah, it was so clear that
Mm-hmm.
as men, we have no idea how bad women have it.
Yeah.
We think we do, but we don't, you know?
It's rough out here.
It is, yes. You know, like, I don't remember, it was a couple years ago on Twitter, there was a trend that was like, if there were no men on the planet for one day, what would you do?
Yep.
And it was the stupid little things that we didn't even take, that we don't think about. One woman was like, I would jog at night.
Yes.
One
oh,
woman-
yeah,
one-
it is stuff like that.
Yeah, one woman was like, I would leave my first floor apartment windows open. You know, and it's these little things that
Mhm.
as a man, I don't even think about. And,
Yeah.
you know, but because of this, at least someone like myself, I'm aware that my presence can make a woman uncomfortable. You know, if I'm walking too close behind a woman, I will, like, if I'm just walking along and realize I'm kind of, because I walk kind of fast, that I'm a little too close, I'll stop and wait.
Yeah.
Because I don't want someone to feel unnecessarily uncomfortable. I don't know.
I've actually lived that experience,
What, you
and
had
it's
someone
even
walk too
more
close
it's
to
even
you?
more difficult for me because I have a disability. So not only do I have the inherited, oh my God, it's a man, it's a man with a disability, so we don't know what he's capable of or what's wrong with him or what's going on. Why is he so close to me?
Okay, I honestly, I wouldn't have gotten that impression from you, but I can see what you're saying.
I have been stared down by and not that I was doing anything wrong. I just want to point that out.
Right,
Just
right.
like what you had said, I was walking just a little bit too fast, and I got that look like, why are you next to me? Like,
I just
what's
don't,
going on?
and don't take this the wrong way. But maybe again, it's my, male, perspective. But I just don't think that you would be seen as that big a threat because of your disability. You know what I mean?
What? Yeah,
I mean, unless you had a weapon, obviously. But like,
true.
that's what I mean. So I hope you don't take that the wrong way. But,
I not at all. Nope.
and Joyous is so super quiet right now.
I'm just thinking about all the times that I've been actually legitimately followed.
Right, and that's just it. And you probably really were being stalked. Like, not.
Oh, 100%. Yeah,
yeah.
I've been followed. There's a universal female experience of like the big car that slows down next to you while all the other cars are going normal speed,
Yep.
just right at the speed that you're walking.
Yep.
Starts yelling at you.
But all right. So after that interesting tangent, and hopefully that doesn't ruin your night, because I know luckily you don't have to go walking anywhere. But
Yeah, no, absolutely not. I mean, I live in a really safe area, but I still, I would love to be able to go for a night walk. That would be awesome. If when I'm sad and frustrated and it's late at night and I just need air, I would just love to be able to go for a walk at night. That's my one thing I wish that Ted Bundy ruined for me.
yeah, that Ted Bundy, he's not the only one, because he's not here anymore. But unfortunately, there are too many people like Ted Bundy out there.
Absolutely. And
Yeah.
it's like, yeah, that's collective fear that has taken away that option from me, and I am sad.
Well, let's wrap this up then, shall we? All right.
All right.
Thank you, everyone, for listening. This is episode 52. We finally covered the biggest case ever, Ted Bundy, all for Joyous's information. So
Yeah.
All right. So we will see you guys soon for our next episode. So once again, I am Janice Dead.
I'm Jameson Dead.
And I'm Joyous Dead.
And we'll see you next week.
Bye.